Give me a short version, if you would, Paul, about the breakup. How did it happen?
We'd been together like 10 years, and during the making of the White Album, things started to get a little bit edgy. In fact, during the making of Sgt. Pepper, George hadn't showed for most of the album, which was unusual, because we normally showed for our recording sessions. George hasn't been too interested in making that album. I think he was building a swimming pool. And it was just all a little bit like that. And of course, I was sort of thinking, you know, thought, well, I won't say anything, but it's a bit dodgy. We went on to make the White Album, and things really did start to kind of disintegrate a little bit. And eventually, when Alan Klein came in, I think he was the kind of the final straw. He got a meeting with John and Yoko the night before we were due to have a big sort of State of the Nation meeting. And John and Yoko arrived the next day, and John issued a statement saying, all my affairs are now in the hands of Alan Klein. Everything I do must go through him. And we were due to sign a deal with Capitol Records, which was what we were all there for, this meeting. And Klein apparently had said to John, look, don't say anything. John had expressed his desire to, like, leave the group. And Klein, being a businessman, had said, don't say anything till after they've signed the new Capitol deal, which he was involved with. I'd been arguing for weeks about his percentage and stuff. I figured we were a big act. We could give him 15%. The others were saying, no, he's got to have 20. I said, we're a big act, guys. Real big group. He'll take 15. Don't you worry. They said, no way. Anyway, so John was at that meeting, and he just suddenly let it out. He just looked at us all. We were sitting around like this, and John just said, I wasn't going to tell you till after you signed the Capitol deal. He said, but I'm leaving the group. And he just looked at us, and our jaws just fell. And we all went kind of white. And he said, it's kind of a great feeling, telling you. It's kind of an adrenaline rush. He said, it's like, you know, telling someone you're getting divorced. He said, it's kind of, you know, a little bit weird, but I'm leaving the group. So we all kind of just sort of said, So we left it for like about 3 or 4 months, and nothing happened. He was obviously not going to come back to the group. He was enjoying his newfound freedom. So we all decided that that was it. And I will sing a lullaby. I decided that it was time to tell the world rather than just keep pretending we were still a group when we weren't for 4 months. And I let it out in a statement with an album I put out called McCartney. And in fact, John got annoyed with me. He said, I wanted to tell. I said, well, tough, isn't it? And my overwhelming feeling was like, I'm of no use anymore. My usefulness is gone.
Really?
Yeah. You know, I just am, what's my use? What do I do now? What am I?
You were one of the Beatles, and the Beatles didn't exist anymore.
It's like, yeah, you know, you were one of the Beatles. That was the frightening bit. You once were. And I kind of think, well, God, you know, I'm not like at retirement age yet. I can't just swan off to a desert island. Yeah, I've got to do something. So just the kind of depression of actually trying to think what I would do next, you know, and my self-esteem was what was the thing that I think the guys who get laid off, it's what they feel. You just plummet. You just get so depressed.
Did you
Yeah,
really?
I mean, that was the worst moment other than my mother dying when I was 14. That was the kind of second worst moment in my life to that point. I mean, I didn't get up for a long time. I didn't shave for a long time. I drank a little. Hey, what the hell? Yo, let's go for it. We got time off, guys. Why shave? No one's coming round.
I mean, was that
I don't
serious?
have to go out. Oh, yeah, it was serious, all right.
It was serious to your fans, obviously.
Well, it was more serious to my family, you know. I mean, the fans is one thing. You know, we'd given them 10 years of good music, at least. But the current situation with a young family as I had, you know, with Linda, we'd only been
But you weren't
married.
about making ends meet. You weren't worried about
No,
that.
it wasn't that. It's just self-esteem. It's not having money.
Yeah.
It took me quite a lot of time, and Linda was like a major help with that. She kind of lifted me back up. And I eventually started thinking, well, you know, maybe it's not the end of the world, but it took a couple of months. And the difficult thing for me that an ordinary guy being laid off would encounter was people like yourself would sort of say to me, once I was trying to make a return to the world, you know, and start doing interviews as kind of, you quote, your ex-Beatle, the worst question I really feared was they'd say, Paul, are you happy? And I go, yes. You know, and you felt you were going to break down, lying through your teeth. You weren't happy at all, you know. So it was really tough, folks. And here's where the violins come in. I never give you my pillow. I always send you my invitation. And in the middle of the celebration, I'll break down. You're gonna carry that weight a long time. But you know, I gradually kind of clawed my way back up, got Wings together, which was like a very difficult thing, because it was like, how are you going to follow and act like the Beatles?
Right.
I thought, well, you just follow it, that's all. You won't follow it as well.
But you'll do something.
You do something. Consequently, every success we ever had with Wings, and there were many, was totally overshadowed by the Beatles. And since the Beatles, I have outsold Beatle records and stuff. So, I mean, you look at those moments and think, well, you know, so there is life after Beatles. Yep. Yay. Hi, Linda. Were you listening to this interview?
Well, I think the questions are hard. It's like Picasso never got past his blue period in some people's minds. So for ordinary people, it gets a bit, oh, come on, you know?
Well, do you think the questions are old? You've heard them all before?
Some of them. I think it's nice.
Paul told me yesterday, I said, don't you get tired of these questions? This, you know, what is there somebody hasn't asked you? And he said, you know, there's some stuff, I don't know if he meant about me, about himself, or about the Beatles that people don't know.
Oh, sure.
Like what?
Only they know.
There's a lot of stuff.
Only they know.
Don't know. I mean, the thing is, you know, let's face it, in an interview situation, it's not easy to do this stuff. Because, I mean, I'm not stupid. I know there's however many your viewing figures are looking.
What is your role? You play keyboard and tambourine. You're not a professional musician.
Well, a lot of rock and rollers, it's down to 12 bars and a bit of fun. Bit of an escapism.